Hi, this is Amy Ritterbush, the Software and Web Analyst for Wellesley Public Schools. I'm going to show you how to fill out your annual forms in the PowerSchool Parent Portal. So to start, you go to the district homepage, or you might have a link in your email, and then we're going to go to the PowerSchool login under Students and Families. And we'll log in. If you need another language, we have a variety of languages available here, so feel free to use a different language. I will use English for this demo since it's easier for me to navigate. Okay. And I have two test students here. These are not real students, so you're not seeing their real data. To begin with, I'm going to go with Nolan, who is a fake first grade student. And you click, and you can navigate between your students in the top bar here. You go to the Forms page, and you'll see when you start that the annual update forms come up first at the top of the page. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 required forms. There are also optional forms that you may or may not need to fill out, but the 1, 2, 3, 4 is what you need to fill out. And once you've completed all 4, you'll get to see the homeroom teacher for grades K through 8. So we open the first form, the demographics form, and I forgot to show you on the form screen to begin with. You can choose your preferred language for forms if you want all your forms to always show in a certain language. And you'll see most of them changed right away. I'm still waiting to get the translations back from the translator for some of these forms, so I will get those entered before the portal opens, hopefully. All right, but I'm going to go back in English because this will be easier for me to navigate, but you can use whatever language you want. And again, we start here with annual update, page 1 of 4, start here. And all 4 forms need to be filled out for every student in your family. And they can take a little while to load, especially if a lot of people are using the system at once, which definitely happens on the day the portal opens. So this is basic info, and things may be pre-filled in from when you registered your student or from last year, but occasionally we have new questions. New this year for elementary students, if you'd like to enter a name pronunciation for your student, if the name is hard to spell, or hard to pronounce, I mean, you can enter some hints to help teachers and staff spell your student's name, or if that's not necessary, you can just click no. And then as you'll notice that it's not available for high school and middle school students because we would let them enter that themselves because they log into PowerSchool to look at their grades. Anyway, so here is the physician and dentist contact info we'd like you to enter, whether or not you have mass health. There's a few other questions. Elementary science allergens, we want you to be aware that we use these allergens in science class. And you need to click yes, I agree. And you can contact the teacher if your student should not access those ingredients. If you need written communication translated, click yes, and then type in which language you might like that you need. Spanish. And whether you need an interpreter. And your military family status, that's a state required field there. So to fill in the appropriate box, submit. And it takes a minute to submit the form. So we always say, please be patient, and I'll take you to form 2. And it does take a minute for the page to load. Okay, this is the contact info review form, which is required. And basically, you're just going to look at all these contacts and make sure that they are correct for your student. And if they are correct, you can click yes, click no, my contact info is correct, no changes are needed. If changes are needed, you can click yes, and then you're going to fill out a separate contact info change form, which it's really important to only fill that out once per family. And you'll get that form when you finish the other forms. Or a lot of people don't have changes from year to year. So take a look at these, and they look generally correct. Click no, I don't need to change anything. If you need to make changes, click I need to make changes. And we would like to have everyone to have at least 5 contacts. This fake student only has 3, but we want all parents and guardians, plus we'd like to have 3 emergency contacts if possible. So you sign, and it fills in the date. and it will take you to Form 3. Just be patient. Okay, and this is the student handbook agreement. Other permissions. Can they be interviewed? Can we use their picture? Can we show a picture of their work? Technology use permissions. These kind of change slightly from year to year, but this is the list of the commonly used technologies that we use, plus a link to our educational software privacy agreement. Student handbook agreement. If you click the link, the new handbooks are available on our website. You can go through those with your student. Make sure they understand all the rules. Pupil Rights Amendment is just a notification of your rights under the Pupil Rights Amendment. Classroom device take-home permission. This is new, and if you would like to let your elementary student take home their device, you can click yes, I agree, or no, I do not grant permission. And we don't have this question for middle and high school students because they are already in a one-to-one program where they take their devices home daily. Again, so sign and submit. All right, then we'll be patient and we'll take us to Form 4. This is the student directory information, and you can choose to share with WPS partners like the PTO for the PTO directory or not. Most people do share, so we put a little warning box if you select no, you won't be included in the family directory, but certainly your choice. If you click yes, like most people do, you want to make sure you fill in any address, phone, or email information you'd like to include. You can include one parent or both. You can include a second physical address if that's your situation, that you have two physical addresses. And then what's your preferred contact. And then you can choose to share with third parties or not. You can choose to share with media outlets if contacted or not. You can subscribe to the school committee newsletter, totally up to you, but I think it's valuable. All right, and here it says, thank you. Continue to the confirmation page 5, which will now be visible now that you've completed all 4 forms for more information. So here on page 5, this is where you'll see your homeroom teacher name and homeroom number. This is not, so right here it would be school information, teacher name, and homeroom number. And other useful links about your school that you might need: staff directory, calendar, back to school packet with supply lists and other back to school info, food services, and then a confirmation for what you filled out on the directory pages and the permission sharing option pages. Okay. And then if you have a second student, like this is Liz is a high school student, so we'll go over to Liz here. And we'll just have a glance at her forms for you. There are a few differences with middle and high school students compared to elementary students. Okay, so far this looks about the same. Yeah, but it doesn't look like there's any differences on page 1, except for the name pronunciation. Students will fill that out themselves if they're at high school. Okay, and then this is the second one, and you can choose yes, your info is correct, or sorry, yes, my contact info is correct, no changes are needed, or I think I said that wrong. So no changes are needed, or yes, I need to make changes. So you want to review that, and if you need to make changes, you're going to fill out a separate form, which I'll show you next. And this student does have all 3 contacts, plus some emergency contacts, or 5 total, 2 guardians, 3 emergency contacts. All right, permissions. These are mostly the same. There is a long student and family agreement for you to read through if you have a high school student with all the rules and consequences for behavior. Otherwise, it is mostly the same. And if it were a middle school student, there would be a question about iPad permissions. Okay, and this is the student directory info page, and there's a few more options for high school students here. Let's see. All right. What is a military recruiters release. So we do ask if you want to release your students' information to military recruiters, yes or no, if you're in high school, grades 11 and 12 only. And yearbook publisher release, this is also for grades 11 and 12 if you want to be contacted by the publisher for the yearbook so you can buy a senior yearbook. And you can let us share the information with the yearbook company or not. School committee newsletter, parent guardian signature. Okay, now we will go to the contact info change form, which is under one of our optional forms, and it's very important that you only fill this out once per family. So that otherwise it creates duplicate contacts and it's really confusing information. And sometimes you don't want to accidentally overwrite one student's contacts with the other if you fill it out repeatedly. So first we ask you, do you have more than one student? And if you do, you get this warning to really only fill it out once per family. And then if this is the student you want to fill it out on, you'll click this is the first or only student I'm updating. And then the boxes appear. And this student here, you'll see has 5 contacts. But say, we wanted to remove this work phone number. The person doesn't work there anymore. So we will just click here and remove that one. Now they just have the daytime phone number. And say this one, let's see, say that's the wrong, this is the emergency contacts. And we're missing the relationship here. So we might say, these are only read-only because this contact is the parent of another student, so we can't change that for them. Here's one that we can change. So the relationship is missing, so you usually want to say if it's a friend, neighbor, grandparent, aunt, or uncle. Okay. And then this is the important part. You want to apply these contacts to your other students so that it's the same for all students in your family. Unless you have some circumstance where they should be different, but that's really uncommon. Most people make them the same for all children in the family. And then when you hit submit, you'll see that contact info must be reviewed by a WPS staff member before being submitted into the database. So your form's going to show as pending, and we ask for your patience because we get a lot of forms at the beginning of the year. So we go back to the forms page here. And we'll see that all the other forms that we filled out have all been submitted, but this one is just pending review till a staff member has a chance to review it. So those changes are not reflected in the database immediately for either of the 2 students that we updated. But if we I submitted the forms for Nolan, so I'm going to go back to Nolan here. Okay, and you can see Nolan's forms are all submitted, but any contact info changes are going to have to be approved by a staff member before you can see them in Nolan's contact list. So just please be patient on that. And if it's an emergency situation, you can contact portal@wellesleyps.org and we can try to approve yours quickly. But if it's just a change, we'll just get to it in the first couple of weeks of school. All right, I think that is it. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, please contact portal@wellesleyps.org.